This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
Week 8 in the NFL is going to be a good test of our intestinal fortitude because I've only got value in two sides for this week, and both of them are coming off the stinkiest performances you could possibly imagine. And the question is, do I suck it up and bet on those teams that have frustrated me several times throughout this year, or do I ignore it and just go with some totals instead? It's going to be a good test whether I've got the guts to follow what the model is saying or ignore it and go elsewhere, and I'm going to let you know we're probably going to go elsewhere for this week. But there is still some good value on the board at FanDuel Sportsbook. So we're going to go game by game across the entirety of Week 8. Let you know where I'm seeing value at FanDuel Sportsbook and initial bets that I like for this week. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, here to break down my thoughts on NFL Week number 8, going through each game, breaking down my models, spread and total predictions, and breaking down my favorite bets at FanDuel Sportsbook. We're going to dive into all that here in just 1 second, but first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to the Covering the Spread podcast feed and the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. We are here Monday through Friday during college football and NFL season, breaking down all the bets you need to know for that weekend's upcoming slate of games. We're going to have college football Wednesday, of course, NFL Thursday, NFL player props on Friday, all right here in the exact same place. So go to the Covering the Spread podcast feed, subscribe there and leave us a 5-star rating, or go to the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page, leave us a thumbs up there, subscribe, and turn on notifications to get notified as these shows go live Monday through Friday. FanDuel's getting you ready for kickoff with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 to use in bonus bets all across the app. Again, if you win, you can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. NFL season is finally here. Only question is, are you ready to play? Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as now withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Chat Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's begin things with the Thursday night football game. That is the Vikings at the Chargers. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Chargers favored by 3. Total in this game is at 44.5. Kevin O'Connell was talking about this game yesterday and said that there's a possibility that Max Brosmer may start this game for the Vikings. Brosmer is a rookie. He is a guy who didn't have a lot of draft capital tied to him. Might have been undrafted. Either that or 7th round pick. Either way, not what you want to see if you're the Vikings. If I have Carson Wentz as the assumed starter, I got the Chargers by 2.5. Total in this game, 43.6. I am worried about this Vikings quarterback situation because McCarthy wasn't good enough to go last week, and now it's a short week. I think he'll be back in week 9. I feel pretty good about that. But Wentz is banged up. McCarthy's banged up. I don't want to go to war with Max Brosmer. So even though I'm showing value in the Vikings in theory, I would consider leaning 3 with the Chargers, given there's some serious quarterback concerns with the Vikings. Also, Joe Alt might be back for this game for the Chargers. Did practice a bit last week, limited again on Monday. So if we get Joe Alt back and the quarterback situation being as up in the air as it is for the Vikings, I'd consider laying the 3 with the Chargers. Not doing that right now. I do want to try to get ahead of things here, so if I want to do it, should probably do it here pretty soon. But if you were to force me to bet Thursday Night Football, it would be laying the 3 at the Chargers at -110 at FanDuel Sportsbook. Total live at 43.6, even with the Vikings quarterback situation, what it is 44.5 at FanDuel Sportsbook, so lean towards the under there too. Could consider that as well. Khalil Mack back last week for the Chargers, so consideration for the Chargers, consideration for the under, despite the fact my model does have this spread at just 2.5. Bills coming off their bye week take on the Carolina Panthers, and they are big favorites on the road. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bills favored by 7.5, and the total in this game, 46.5. Of course, the big news here is Andy Dalton will start here for the Carolina Panthers. I do have that as being a pretty significant downgrade for them from Bryce Young. You look back to last year. For the full season, Bryce Young had better efficiency numbers than Andy Dalton, and this year, Young's numbers have not been amazing, but I don't think Andy Dalton will be the cure here necessarily. Now, the positive for the Panthers is that the downgrade from Young to Dalton is nullified a bit by the fact that the Panthers are just very healthy right now. Chuba Hubbard is back. Jatavian Sanders is back. Jalen Coker is back. And honestly, Xavier Legette has looked like an actual NFL player the past couple of weeks, which is a deviation from where he was at before. So when I look at this spot, I've got the Bills by 9, so not seeing value in the Panthers, but I do show value in the over. Total right now, again, 46.5. I've got this at 50.6 because this Bills defense is not one that I like, and you can run the football against them. Panthers have shown they have the ability to run the football. I think the Panthers will score some points here, despite the fact, to me at least, is a downgrade from Young to Dalton. And the Bills, we know, will score points. Panthers defense has been good, but I don't think they face a team like the Bills just yet. So I do like the over here, 46.5, sitting again at minus 105. I think it's a good bet to go with here because of the Panthers' health, because of their ability to run the football in this game, and because we get exposure to Josh Allen, the Bills' offense. What's not to love with that? So first bet of the week for me will be the Panthers and Bills over 46.5 at minus 105. Next game up is that first test of intestinal fortitude I was discussing earlier on. That is because it is the New York Jets taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bengals favored by 6.5. Total in this game is 43.5. Now, with every team, there is a point where they become a value because the Jets will not lose this game by, I don't think, 47 points. So we can't just say the Jets stink. I can never bet them. At some point, they will become a value. And when it's 6.5 points on the road against a team that before Thursday night looked pretty freaking bad, like maybe one of the worst teams in football, that's got to be pretty close to the breaking point. Now, we don't know the starting quarterback for the Jets. I think it'll be Justin Fields. We're not sure about that. Not sure if Garrett Wilson will go. I think he will, based on the fact that he was doubtful as opposed to out last week. And I think that Sauce Gardner will sit. So a lot of factors working against the Jets here. So I do understand why the spread is a 6.5, especially with Joe Flacco kind of giving some life to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. With that said, even when I have Sauce Gardner ruled as out and have what I think is a pretty fairly aggressive upgrading for Flacco, I can't in good faith go higher on this Bengals team, given that Joe Flacco is a quarterback. I have the Bengals by 3.9 and the total in this game at 43. So that would imply I show value in the Jets plus 6.5, and tied to that is the Jets money line at plus 245. Now, I mentioned before, do I have the intestinal fortitude to act on what my model is saying is value? Because it says I should take the Jets at 6.5 and feel pretty good about that. The answer to you is no. I honestly do not. Because when I look at how my models have performed this year, my spread and moneyline model has been pretty poor. It has not been good. ROI on that has been disappointing at best. The totals model has been good, and I've actually got a good amount of value in totals for this week. So if I can ignore Jets and Bengals, still get some action via the totals instead, where, again, things have been better this year, I'm probably just going to take that out instead. Now, if I were someone who just took every value that my model said, I'd take the Jets plus 6.5, and it'd be a pretty good value, feel pretty good about that. Personally, I might wind up taking that bet, but I can't recommend it, because I just don't feel good enough about this Jets team. A lot of factors working against them, a lot of bad vibes. It's not a good situation. Again, no Sauce Gardner, potentially no Garrett Wilson. That's a lot of factors working against them. So from a recommendation perspective, I can't give the Jets plus 6.5. It's a value. I'm just going to stare at it. Again, I could see myself betting it later on, but like from a process-based perspective, based on how the spread model has performed this year versus the totals model, we'll find better value in the total streets. So from an actual recommendation perspective, I can't get behind the Jets at plus 6.5. There is a breaking point where every team is a value. The Jets are probably there, frankly. They probably are there, as much as I hate to say it, but I'm having a hard time pulling the trigger personally. Got a fun one in Baltimore. That is the Chicago Bears taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Right now at FanDuel Sportsbook, Ravens are favored by 6.5, and the total in this game is 50.5, and that spread being 6.5 tells you sportsbooks have not reacted to the fact that Lamar Jackson did not practice on Monday, and I'm not either, because Lamar Jackson never practices. He is sick every day, it feels like, and he sits out practice. So the fact that Lamar Jackson did not practice on Monday is not a big concern to me. I still think he'll play. Sportsbooks and the betting public treating this as if he'll play as well, because I am spot on with the market here when I have Lamar Jackson marked as in. Got the Ravens by 6.4 and the total at 50.7. And again, betting odds here 6.5, 50.5. So I could not be closer to market than I am with this one. It makes sense. Both these defenses have very serious flaws. Both these offenses can move the football, especially through the air for the Bears, and the running game actually looking a bit better too. Ravens run game looked a lot better before their bye week in that Rams game. So I think the market is right here, and the market is saying that Lamar is probably going to play, so no real concerns there. I did take the Ravens to make the playoffs. Ravens over to get 10 plus wins, then get like 2-1. Probably a bad bet, but their schedule from here on out is super, super easy. So if Lamar stays healthy, I think they're pretty fun. But no read for me on this game between the Bears and the Ravens. Got the New England Patriots hosting the Cleveland Browns at FanDuel Sportsbook. Patriots favored by 7. Total in this game is at 40.5. I finally caught up to market with the Patriots, which is encouraging for me because I've shown value in betting against them several times this year. Not necessarily last week. I had that as about a 6-point spread. Market was at 7, so pretty close there. Finally, though, I've caught up because I had the Patriots by 8.3 in this game. Drake May's efficiency stats continue to be very good, even though he hasn't faced a lot of quality defenses as of yet. And the Browns going on the road, not as good as they are at home. So it'll be a good test, but not an amazing test. Either way, the Patriots a firm 7-point favorite here. I do agree with that number. Total I have at 43.5, so would show a bit of value in the over. Over 40.5 is minus 105. Really don't mind that. Patriots defense, even with Christian Gonzalez being back, hasn't been amazing by any means. It's just, do I really want to be super enthused about this Browns offense? Do I want to have exposure to Dylan Gabriel? Probably not. So I think that if I were to bet this game, Patriots team total over might be the better route to doing so, kind of fading the Browns defense when they go on the road. I think that's going to be the better way to attack this game. So keeping eyes on Patriots team total. Do want to go there because I got the Patriots by 8.3. Total 43.5 as they host the Browns for this weekend. The second game that will test our ability to decide how we want to feel about a game is the next one. That is the Niners and the Texans. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Niners are, well, they were favorites. That's flipped in the past couple of minutes. They were favored by 1.5. It is now Texans on the money line at minus 110. Niners money line minus 106, and the total in this game is 41.5. I was ready to talk about how the fact that Texans should be favored in this game, because they were minus 104 in the money line. They were actually like plus 105 at some places this morning as well. I kind of thought that was an overreaction to last night. Now, I had the Texans by 2, so which means with the movement, I'm pretty in line with market here, and that's even with Nico Collins being assumed as out. So I think the market's right here. As bad as it feels to back the Texans, this defense is legitimate, and I don't know, man. Like, I feel like getting this offense in a spot where they're not facing that Seattle front is going to be good for them. Now, although I'm no longer showing value in the Texans money line, I do still show value in the over here. And to me, that's going to be the best route for betting this game. Not just because my total model has been a lot better than the spreads model for this year, but also because if I were to make an alteration to one of these teams later in the week, it'd be to the Niners offense. If we get Brock Purdy back in this game, I'm going to give the Niners offense an upgrade because we saw the impact George Kittle makes in this offense on Sunday Night Football, where he was able to open holes for Christian McCaffrey on the ground. We didn't see a lot of Kittle in the passing game, but in this spot against the Texans, I do think we would see that. So if I've got this total right now at 45.1, and there's the potential for me to upgrade this Niners offense later in the week because of potentially good injury news, that says to me I should take the over now while it's still 41.5. That does mean we're betting on the Texans offense once again, which is what we did last night. Did not go well. Did get the over in that game, which is what we had. So I'll definitely take that. But I view it more so as betting on this Niners offense being better than what it's shown this year if Purdy does get back, and betting on the fact that this Texans offense should at least be more functional when they're not facing a front as good as the Seahawks, especially with Bryce Huff expected to miss this game now for the Niners as well. So we'll take the over 41.5. That's sitting at minus 105 at FanDuel Sportsbook as the next bet for us for this week. If you can still get the Texans even money, I'd consider it. You know, I'm much more willing to back the Texans than I am the Jets, just because I have more faith in CJ Stroud than Tyrod Taylor. But I do think that both of them feel bad. Those are the only two spots where I see value in spreads this week is the Jets and the Texans. And honestly, the Texans may have dried up with this reversal we've seen here in the past couple of minutes. So I like the over here, 41.5 at minus 105. Got the Dolphins going on the road, take on the Atlanta Falcons. It is the second consecutive game where the Dolphins, we get a lefty on lefty matchup because it is Tua Tagovailoa taking on Michael Penix. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Falcons there by 7.5. Total in this game is 44.5. Pretty in line with market here. Got the Falcons by 7.2 and the total of 45.5 for me. Not big into this Falcons offense, but you're putting them in a spot here where they're facing the Dolphins. Bijan Robinson can go bananas here. I don't expect a lot of the Dolphins offense here, so even though I got the Falcons by 7.2, don't hate the Falcons like a teaser leg sitting at 7.5. Just because, again, I think they'll be able to move the ball on offense, and I don't think the Dolphins offense will be able to do a whole lot here. So in line with market overall, only consideration would be the Falcons as a potential teaser leg. Not looking to bet that one right now because I am in line with market. We did just see this matchup on Thursday Night Football between the Giants and the Eagles. But I'm still excited to see it once again, just 2 weeks later, because I do think it's going to be a fun one here. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Eagles favored by 7, and the total in this game is at 43.5. This spread was 7 when this game was in New York on Thursday night. And of course, the Giants won that game. Now, 2 weeks later, you put it at 7 again, but this time it's in Philadelphia. So the market is reacting to what this Giants offense has done. I think that is correct. I think the Giants are playing really good football right now. You look at their passing efficiency numbers in the games Jackson Dart has started, they've actually been pretty good. And then you consider the teams they have faced. Yes, no Quinyon Mitchell and no Jalen Carter in the Eagles game, but they played really well there. They played great offensively for most of the game against the Broncos on the road. That's a pretty big test. And they beat the Chargers. They weren't efficient in that game. Weren't super efficient against the Saints either, but they have had impressive offensive showings once you consider the teams they have faced. So that's why I'm not showing value in the Giants plus 7. Got that at 6.9, but I do like the over at 43.5. If you recall, we were on the over for that first game on Thursday night. We're going to be on it once again here for the rematch between the Giants and the Eagles. Now, we do see downgrades the second time that teams play divisional games because they know each other better, just prep for these teams. Often you see worse weather later in the year, too. I don't care enough about that to really worry about this total at 43.5 because the Eagles letting rip a bit more offensively. They can't run the football right now, so I think they should be willing to throw the ball a bit, and the Giants have shown they can be efficient through the air even in tough spots. So to me, over 43.5 at minus 105 is a quality way to bet this game and buy into the Giants offense without requiring them to cover a big number against an Eagles team that I do still think is pretty good. So to me, best way to bet this game, over 43.5, minus 105 for the Giants and the Eagles. As mentioned, I've got that total at 48.3, so way off market here. But the spread, Eagles minus 6.9. So that's where we stand with that one. Buccaneers, no Mike Evans. Go on the road, take on the New Orleans Saints. Really big bummer to see no Mike Evans. They said he's going to miss most of the year. And you saw all these tweets about how, that means that Mike Evans' 1,000-yard receiving streak is over. I have faith that if Mike Evans comes back week 18, they can get him the 800 or whatever yards it is to get to 1,000 yards. It feels like they always do that. The Bucs find a way. So I'm not writing off Mike Evans 1,000 yards just yet. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bucs favored by 4.5. Total in this game, 46.5. Got a pretty big downgrade in for the Buccaneers, both because of the Mike Evans injury, but also because of Emeka Egbuka. Didn't seem 100% in that game. Baker Mayfield limping around after that game. And I don't think we probably get Chris Godwin or Bucky Irving for this game just because of how early both were ruled out for last week against Detroit. So pretty banged up Bucs team once again. I got this spread, Bucs minus 4.7, got the total at 46. So no read from me on this game, pretty in line with market, and full respect to the Buccaneers. Happy to play them in some DFS lineups, but not going to bet them here because they're just at a certain point, you're just too banged up. Got the Titans go on the road, take on the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Colts favored by 14.5. And the total in this game is sitting at 46.5. Now, I scoff at 14.5 because it's a big number. However, I've got the Colts by 14.4. So I get it. This Titans offense. Cam Ward was right. They're not good. And it didn't look a whole lot better in the first game with Mike McCoy running this offense. So I do show some value in the over at 46.5 at minus 114. We talked about a lot of totals so far this week. This is not going to be my favorite, so I like the other ones more. It'd be pretty low on my list of favorite totals this week. Do show some value in the over, in part because this Colts offense should be able to do whatever they want here. I believe they're legitimate with this offensive line playing like it is, Jonathan Taylor playing like he is, with Alec Pierce scorching souls, as always, my favorite receivers in the NFL. They're playing really good football right now. Titans, maybe they move the football. Still waiting to hear on Calvin Ridley's status for this week. I don't know, man. I've showed better value in totals elsewhere, so happy to ignore this one and sit this one out. I think the Colts should be favored by 14.5. Got the total again, 49.8, but not willing to act on that as things stand. Next game up is the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Denver Broncos. A bit surprised by this one. It was 3 yesterday. It's now to 3.5 with the Broncos favored. Total at 49.5. I got the Broncos by 2. So I was surprised to see it get 3.5. Now, with that said, it's a heavy 3.5. 3.5 sitting at minus 118. Cowboys money line at plus 146. I'm going to keep some tabs on Dallas here because I always get concerned my model is overvaluing indoor teams going outdoors. And I've been concerned about that with Dallas specifically at times this year, but they keep on getting the job done. So if the market keeps moving against Dallas, I could see myself adding them at some point. I got 1.7 percentage points of value on their money line right now. So I typically want a little bit more before I actually decide to fire. So if we get this to hypothetically like plus 150 or so, I could see myself adding Dallas to the card on the money line. Would take the points as well, kind of split those two bets up. Because I do think 3.5 is significant. So I do want to keep close tabs on Dallas and see where that number winds up getting, because I could see myself betting them later on this week. As far as the total goes, I had this at 47. I think 49.5 is pretty high. I've gotten sick of betting against Dak Prescott and betting against this Cowboys defense in terms of betting unders in their games. It's happened quite a few times this year and has not gone well. So maybe I bet the under at some point too. Maybe I bet the Cowboys. I think this could be a spot where we see some value later on this week. So I'm going to keep close tabs on that one to see if I can fire on the Cowboys later on. The Sunday night game, I think is kind of fun, honestly, because it's an Aaron Rodgers revenge game. It is the Packers taking on the Steelers. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Packers are by 3.5. Total in this game is 44.5. Got the Packers by 2.5, so a bit tighter than what the market has it. Steelers, I think, are decently close to being a value for me as well. I've got their, no, actually not good value on their money line right now. Got them by 2.5 point dogs though. So keeping tabs on that one. It looks like there is some enthusiasm for the Steelers in the market. They're catching 3.5 at home. So I guess that does make sense. Total in this game is at 44.5. And I think there is value in the over as things stand. A big reason for that is this Steelers offense has honestly been pretty good so far this year. Once you adjust for schedule, they've been above average through the air on early downs, on the ground on early downs, and in late down success rate. That is even with Calvin Austin missing the past 2 games. They have been efficient. And at some point, we probably should just believe in that. The Packers defense has looked a lot more human the past couple of weeks than it did the first 2 weeks. The Steelers are at home, coming off an extended rest. Packers' second consecutive road game. There are a lot of factors pointing towards the Steelers being a decent value, or betting on the Steelers' offense in this game. So when I see the total at 44.5, I actually don't mind buying into the over at minus 115. I think that, again, the Steelers offense has done enough to prove to me they can move the football. This defense looked okay in week 6, looked really bad in week 7 against the Bengals. And now the Packers, maybe they get Christian Watson back for this game, give him some more fireworks on offense. It's a pretty good setup. So I do like the over 44.5 for this game between the Packers and the Steelers, because I think that both these offenses are good, even if they haven't always looked good throughout the course of this year. Again, got the Packers by 2.5, so probably not betting the spread, but do like the over in this one. Final game is Monday Night Football. That is the Washington Commanders taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Chiefs favored by 10.5. Total in this game, 47.5. I want to get a read on the Commanders' injury situation before I feel great about betting this game, because I probably like the over quite a bit. If I just let the model run without adjusting for injuries on the Commander side of things, I have the total of 54.6. A lot of that's because the Chiefs' offense is amazing right now. If you look at just the games that Xavier Worthy has played this year and then combine that with a prior for the Chiefs, they are the best offense in football. And I feel pretty good about saying that, because the Colts still have a bit of a prior in there. So there's still some Daniel Jones regression concern in there at some point. So I think the Chiefs are going to put up points here. Commanders' defense, to me, is not good at all. So I think the Chiefs will be able to name their score. Just not really sure what the Commanders' offense is going to do. We've all seen this total tick down. It was 48.5 on Monday, now down to 47.5. So what I want to do is hold off. We're going to have a Monday Night Football preview next week. Probably going to have the over as a piece of that. I frankly don't mind if you want to bet this now, given that 48 is not a massive key number and 47 is. Maybe you want to hold out and see if you can get a 46.5 if we get a bad injury news on Jaden Daniels, something like that. But either way, I probably will be on the over in this game later on this week. So going to keep close tabs on this, keep close tabs on Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, all the Commanders' injuries they've got, because I do like the over here and would be willing to take it. Got the Chiefs by 9.9 in terms of the spread in this game, so I think that part's fair, but do want to see if we can feel better about the over. We'll probably have that as a bet that we like on the Monday show previewing this game. So, bets I like for this week. Got over 44.5 for the Packers and Steelers. We are going to take over 43.5 for the Giants and the Eagles. Over 41.5 for the 49ers and Texans. We are going to rock with the over again in the Bills and Panthers at 46.5. For that one. So a lot of overs for this week. Weather's a lot better, at least at first glance, than it was last week. So I do feel okay about that. Personally, again, the totals model has been much better than the spread model for this year. So we'll rock with it and just let that one cook for week number 8. That is all that we have here for today on Covering the Spread. As mentioned, back once again tomorrow talking college football week 9. Ken Padgett will join me, break down his thoughts on that game. Brandon Gadula going to join me on Thursday, NFL spreads and totals, and then Friday, NFL player props, all right here on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page, but also the Covering the Spread podcast feed. So make sure you are subscribed in both those locations. If you got any questions for me, I am on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes, and I'm on Threads at Jim.Sannes. You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your bets for week 8. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow, talking some college football for week 9. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.